From the dawn of human consciousness, existence has been a ceaseless oscillation between the inner and outer worlds. For some, the external clamor defines reality. For others, the profound depths of their own being dictate their path. But what if the very essence of your strength lies in a unique blend of these realms, a perception so acute it often feels like a burden? Carl Jung, a titan of the human psyche, understood that our deepest truths are often the hardest to confront, especially for those whose intuition guides their solitude. He recognized that society, in its relentless push for conformity, often dismisses the quiet power of introspection, labeling it as weakness or detachment. To live without questioning, to accept without resisting the prevailing currents of social expectation, is the easiest route to a life of quiet desperation and unfulfilled potential. Throughout this discourse, we will not merely enumerate concepts. We shall delve into the profound insights of Carl Jung, extracting a pragmatic guide for those who navigate the world as intuitive introverts. Prepare yourself, for the revelations you are about to encounter are not merely theoretical. They are profoundly transformative, demanding a revaluation of your very self. The first profound truth, the foundational law we must address, is the law of unseen energy. This principle posits that the intuitive introvert operates on a different energetic wavelength than the extroverted world. Their primary source of revitalization is internal, drawn from periods of solitude and deep reflection. The external world, with its constant demands for social engagement and outward expression, acts as a drain, not a generator. This law functions because the intuitive introvert's cognitive architecture is wired for depth over breadth. Their minds are constantly processing subtle cues, weaving intricate patterns from sensory input and unconscious data, a process that requires immense internal resources. Unlike the extrovert who gains energy from interaction, the intuitive introvert expends it in social settings, much like a finely tuned instrument vibrates more intensely with each note played, eventually requiring a period of silent resonance to reattune itself. Consider the ancient Greek myth of Cassandra, blessed with foresight by Apollo, but cursed to never be believed. Cassandra, inherently intuitive, perceived truths others could not, yet her attempts to communicate these insights were met with disbelief and scorn. Her power was internal, her warnings rooted in a deep understanding of impending doom. But her communication style, likely reserved and introspective, failed to sway the externally focused Trojans. Her tragedy lies not in her intuition, but in the inability of the world to comprehend the subtle, energetic signature of her knowledge. In our contemporary world, this manifests in the intuitive introvert, who, in a corporate meeting, might sense an underlying tension or a flaw in a strategy that others overlook. Their insights, though often accurate, may be dismissed if not presented in a way that caters to the prevailing extroverted communication style, which values rapid-fire responses and assertive declarations over nuanced observation. To navigate this, one must first recognize their unique energetic rhythm. In social settings, cultivate the art of strategic withdrawal. Periods of quiet observation allow for energetic replenishment. Secondly, when sharing insights, focus on presenting the outcome of your intuition rather than the process. Instead of saying, "I just have a feeling this won't work," articulate the specific observations and logical connections that led to your intuitive conclusion, translating your internal processing into externally understandable language. The second truth, the principle of selective engagement, dictates that the intuitive introvert thrives not on widespread social interaction, but on deep, meaningful connections. Their social energy is a finite resource, wisely invested in relationships that foster intellectual and emotional resonance, rather than dissipated in superficial exchanges. This principle operates because the intuitive mind craves depth. Small talk, surface-level interactions, and repetitive social rituals offer little intellectual stimulation and can feel profoundly draining. The intuitive introvert's psyche is geared towards exploring complexity, understanding motivations, and connecting on a profound level, a process that requires time, trust, and shared vulnerability. Forcing oneself into broad social circles that lack this depth leads to exhaustion and a sense of alienation. Reflect on the monastic traditions of various cultures, the hermits, the solitary mystics, the silent contemplatives. Their power and influence often stemmed not from constant interaction, but from periods of profound isolation and selective engagement with a few chosen disciples or seekers. Their insights, born of deep internal work, were then shared with those capable of truly understanding and receiving them. Their selective engagement amplified their wisdom, making their eventual words more potent. In modern life, this translates to the intuitive introvert who feels overwhelmed by networking events, but flourishes in a one-on-one deep conversation with a trusted colleague. They might excel in a small, focused team where ideas can be explored thoroughly, but wilt in a large, boisterous group where conversation is fragmented. The practical application is to consciously prune your social garden. Identify the relationships that truly nourish your spirit and prioritize them. Don't feel obligated to attend every social gathering. Learn to politely decline invitations that do not align with your need for meaningful connection. Instead, proactively seek out environments and individuals where deep conversations are not just tolerated, but encouraged, allowing your authentic self to emerge. If you're enjoying this perspective and feel that this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so you don't miss any content that will further empower you. If you feel a growing restlessness, a need to break free from old expectations and build a life guided by your own truth, know that this quest is not in vain. It's your authentic self preparing for the freedom and fulfillment that await you. There are powerful principles and practices that can illuminate this path of autonomy and self-affirmation, empowering you to live with an unshakable clarity and peace. In the pinned comment, we have made available resources that were carefully crafted for souls like yours, ready to live their most powerful personal revolution. The third truth, the Axiom of Internal Authority, reveals that the greatest strength lies not in external validation, but in an unwavering trust in their inner voice. Their intuition often acts as a compass, guiding them towards paths and decisions that defy conventional logic but ultimately lead to profound self-realization. This axiom functions because the intuitive introvert spends significant time cultivating their internal landscape, fostering a deep connection with their unconscious. This constant introspection hones their ability to perceive subtle patterns, anticipate outcomes, and access knowledge that transcends purely rational thought. External opinions, while sometimes useful, can easily drown out this delicate inner signal if not carefully filtered. Consider the story of Joan of Arc, a young peasant girl guided by internal voices and visions, who, against all odds, led the French army to victory. Her authority stemmed not from noble lineage or military training, but from an unshakable conviction born of her profound inner experience. She trusted her intuition more than the skepticism of generals or the doubt of the clergy. In our modern world, this often manifests in the intuitive introvert, who makes a counterintuitive career choice that ultimately proves successful, or who senses a problem in a relationship long before it becomes apparent to others. They might follow an inner pull to pursue an unconventional passion, despite societal pressure to conform to more traditional paths. To harness this power, you must regularly engage in practices that strengthen your inner connection, such as journaling, meditation, or spending time in nature. Secondly, cultivate a healthy skepticism towards external pressures, especially those that conflict with your core values or intuitive hunches. Learn to differentiate between constructive feedback and mere noise designed to fit you into someone else's mold. The fourth truth, the paradox of perceived detachment, highlights that the intuitive introvert's need for solitude is often misinterpreted as disinterest, aloofness, or even arrogance by those who do not understand their internal world. This perceived detachment can lead to misunderstandings and isolation if not consciously managed. This paradox arises because the intuitive introvert's processing happens largely within, while an extrovert might process thoughts aloud or through immediate engagement. The introvert requires internal reflection before responding or engaging fully. This can create a lag that others interpret as a lack of engagement, when in reality, a deep and complex internal process is underway. The world, accustomed to immediate external cues, often fails to recognize the rich inner life of the intuitive. Consider the historical figure of Isaac Newton, a recluse whose profound insights into the laws of physics were born largely from solitary contemplation. His periods of intense isolation, while perhaps appearing detached, were essential for his intellectual breakthroughs. Had society demanded constant outward engagement from him, his monumental contributions might never have materialized. In contemporary settings, this might be the quiet team member who, during a brainstorming session, says little initially but later presents a brilliant, fully formed solution. Their initial silence is not disengagement, but deep internal processing. Or it could be the friend who declines frequent social invitations, not because they dislike others, but because their energy reserves are finite and require strategic replenishment. To counter this paradox, practice strategic transparency. Briefly explain your need for solitude or your processing style to trusted individuals. For example, I need a moment to think about that before I respond, or I tend to process things internally first, but I'm actively listening. Secondly, actively seek out ways to contribute your insights once they are fully formed, demonstrating that your quietness does not equate to disinterest. Until now, we have established the foundational pillars of the intuitive introvert's unique existence. You have learned to understand your energetic rhythm, to selectively engage, and to trust your inner authority. But this is merely the groundwork. Now we shall enter the territory of proactive engagement. The subsequent truths are not for the faint of heart. They reveal how to navigate the external world while maintaining your authenticity, and even how to subtly shape perceptions in your favor. The fifth truth, the power of deliberate unveiling, asserts that the intuitive introvert gains significant influence not by constant self-promotion, but by strategically revealing their depth and insight at opportune moments. Their quiet observation allows them to accumulate profound understanding, which, when deliberately shared, carries immense weight due to its rarity and perceived wisdom. This truth functions because scarcity creates value. In a world saturated with constant communication and superficial self-expression, the thoughtful, well-timed insight of an intuitive introvert stands out. Their initial silence is not emptiness, but a container for profound observation, making their eventual contributions far more impactful. The human mind is naturally drawn to depth and originality, and the intuitive introvert, by nature, possesses both. Consider the wise sage in ancient parables, who speaks few words, but each utterance holds profound meaning. Their authority is derived not from constant chatter, but from the deliberate unveiling of their wisdom when it is most needed. Their words resonate because they are rare and deeply considered. In a modern context, this could be the quiet colleague, who, after observing a complex problem for weeks, offers a simple yet elegant solution that no one else had considered. Their minimal initial input makes their eventual contribution seem all the more insightful. Or it might be an artist whose works are few but intensely powerful, each piece a culmination of long periods of internal development. To apply this, practice the art of strategic patience. Do not feel compelled to fill every silence or offer an immediate opinion. Allow yourself time to observe, process, and formulate your thoughts. When you do speak, ensure your words are concise, impactful, and add genuine value. Focus on quality over quantity in your communication. The sixth truth, the art of the authentic boundary, emphasizes that the intuitive introvert's ability to thrive depends on rigorously defining and defending their personal space and time, protecting their energetic wellspring from constant depletion. Without these boundaries, their intuition dulls, and their introversion becomes a vulnerability rather than a strength. This truth works because, as established, the intuitive introvert's energy is internal and finite, constant external demands, without adequate recovery, lead to burnout, diminished clarity, and a loss of connection to their inner self. Boundaries are not about rejection, but about self-preservation, ensuring that the internal resources necessary for their unique way of being are consistently replenished. Consider the meticulous boundaries established by great artists or writers throughout history, who often required specific conditions, quiet studio, uninterrupted hours to produce their best work. Their refusal to be constantly available or distracted was not a sign of selfishness, but a necessary condition for their creative output. In a contemporary setting, this could mean an intuitive introvert who declines after-work social events to protect their evening for quiet reflection, or who sets specific do not disturb times to focus on deep work. It could also be the person who says no to requests that would compromise their need for solitude, even if it feels uncomfortable. To implement this, first, identify your non-negotiable needs for solitude and introspection. Secondly, communicate these boundaries clearly and assertively, without apology. This might involve setting specific times for deep work, designating certain spaces as personal sanctuaries, or learning to politely decline invitations that would overextend you. Remember, a clear boundary is a gift to both yourself and others, fostering respect and preventing resentment. The seventh truth, the leverage of deep empathy, reveals that the intuitive introvert, by virtue of their innate ability to perceive subtle cues and understand underlying motivations, possesses a profound capacity for empathy. When wielded consciously, this empathy becomes a powerful tool for connection and influence, allowing them to truly resonate with others. This truth functions because intuition often involves a heightened sensitivity to nonverbal cues, emotional currents, and unexpressed thoughts. Introverts, by spending more time observing than speaking, become skilled at picking up on these nuances. This deep observational capacity, coupled with an internal processing style, allows for a more comprehensive understanding of another person's inner world, far beyond superficial expressions. Think of a skilled diplomat or negotiator who, through patient listening and astute observation, can discern the true fears and desires of opposing parties, leading to resolutions others might miss. Their power lies not in aggressive persuasion, but in a profound, intuitive understanding of human nature. In a modern context, this could be a manager who intuitively understands the unspoken anxieties of their team members and addresses them, proactively fostering loyalty and trust. Or it might be a therapist who, through deep listening and intuitive insights, helps a client uncover hidden emotional blocks. To cultivate this leverage, actively practice deep listening, not just to words, but to the emotions and intentions behind them. Secondly, when engaging with others, allow your natural empathy to guide your responses, focusing on understanding rather than immediate reaction. This will not only build stronger connections, but also provide you with valuable insights into human behavior. We have traversed the challenging terrain of the intuitive introvert's existence, uncovering truths often obscured by societal norms. From understanding your unique energetic rhythm to mastering the art of deliberate unveiling and authentic boundaries. And finally, leveraging your profound empathy, you now possess a comprehensive framework for navigating the world with authenticity and influence. Together, these principles form a holistic system, empowering you to embrace your inherent strengths and transform perceived vulnerabilities into sources of quiet power. This knowledge is a double-edged sword. It can be wielded to protect your authentic self, to elevate your understanding of the world, and to build meaningful connections. But it also carries the potential for subtle manipulation if misused. The choice, as always, rests in your hands. Use it to understand yourself, to understand others, and to contribute to the world from a place of genuine strength, but never to diminish or control others. In the comments below, share which of these hard-to-swallow truths resonated most deeply with you and why. If this journey of self-mastery and authentic living resonates with your spirit, subscribe to the channel to continue unveiling the profound secrets of human psychology and self-realization. Your like is the signal that this knowledge holds true value.